Talking of Arsenal, Miguel, Sam Dean in the Sunday Telegraph, rather scathing piece on Victor Gyökeres. The headline is, Gyökeres is one of the worst strikers in the league. Here's the data to prove it. Arsenal are top of the Premier League and Champions League tables, but many supporters are growing increasingly concerned about the performances of star striker Victor Gyökeres, a £64 million signing. He pinpoints poor movement and unreliable touch, and it says it could be argued Gyökeres is occupying centre-backs, creating more space for other attackers, but the other strikers are now fit. So now Arteta will have a decision to make. Harsh or fair, this piece?
Well, to be fair to Sam, the piece is very fair and very measured. The headline is two-footed.
Yes. And that's before you get the subtext, like unreliable touch, poor movement.
You only have to look at the goal return. There's an issue there. I've done a lot of Arsenal this season. I was there on Thursday night. And Thursday night, I think, was the most pronounced for me in that there were 3 times that the ball flashed across the box. I think particularly from a timber header back was the one that really stands out to me. And Gyökeres was nowhere near it. It felt like he was 5 yards behind the play. We've seen a lot of, classic number 9s from Ian Wright to Gary Lineker talk about how if you're a striker in that sort of situation, you've actually got to gamble on your movement to put yourself in there. That is obviously an issue, especially given Gyökeres was signed as a more traditional number 9, not someone necessarily to kind of for his pressing game or for other elements. I think another issue with him, especially if we're comparing him to kind of classic number 9s in that way, is that there's maybe been some frustration with Arsenal. When the ball goes up, it doesn't stick to him. And even you can sense, okay, not so much on Thursday night, although it was a different sort of game, but when Gabriel Jesus came on in recent games, there's just a different energy about Arsenal. That it feels like he integrates into the team more. And look, some of it is down to the fact, I would say, that he's adapting to a higher level from the Portuguese league to the Premier League. It's a new country, but he is 27. One of the reasons he was signed, and this came out in some of the kind of discussion from within Arsenal in the summer, that it was to win now. But even that was interesting at the time, because in the build-up to this summer, which was kind of like the summer of number 9s, and it's interesting that a lot of them are actually struggling, which maybe says something about how number 9s are still developing in the modern game. But for pretty much 18 months, the word from Arsenal it was Sesko they were looking at. They've done all the work on Sesko. That one of the reasons they were interested in Sesko as well is because, consistent with a lot of Arsenal's transfer recruitment, he was a player that could grow with the team, even if he wasn't a finished article. And now that did abruptly change in the summer, and I think there was even a surprise to other clubs that it was Gyökeres they went for and that Sesko was suddenly available.
Yeah, I think that's part of the switch to thinking win now. That's what this season's all about for Arsenal. All of the transfer business and the other stuff, it's this awareness of trying to win now, which is, Gyökeres. But Gyökeres was seen, as you say, as a guy that's going to win for you now, that's going to score your goals. His struggles haven't surprised me. I wrote about this in the summer, that the track record of those coming from Portuguese football goal scorers is pretty poor. Ricky van Wolfswinkel, 25 goals for Sporting Lisbon, I think 1 goal for Norwich, for example. Mario Jardel, you can go back. Brighton don't often get it wrong, and obviously they had Gyökeres and let him go. He's not one of the worst strikers in the league, though, because he's useful. He just doesn't look like a top club striker. But Sam hasn't written he's one of the worst strikers in the league, as you say. Yeah. He's just blah, isn't he?
Jackie, picking up on the points that Miguel made there.
He wants to be blah.
About Gyökeres.
Yeah.
Higher level, new league, first time he's going to be playing at that level. All of those issues have been pointed towards Benjamin Sesko as well, and we're seeing signs now that Benjamin Sesko might just be coming up to speed. Is that something that Arsenal could look at and think, just give Gyökeres a bit of time? Because if you are top of the Premier League and top of the Champions League group, into the last 4 of the Carabao Cup as well, with a striker who has been a regular, surely you can't carry somebody up front for the entire season, can you?
Yeah, I don't think they're carrying him as such, and it's a good piece by Sam, and he watches Gyökeres very, very closely on a very regular basis. And I thought the key line in there, my Stato head on, was the fact that he didn't score a single header in scoring all his goals last season. 68 and 66 in the league for Sporting is incredible. So you can see why they brought him in. But I think the key thing here, bigger picture-wise, is the fact that everyone at Arsenal is terrified, right? Not terrible. No, they're not terrible. They're terrified of blowing it. They are absolutely... You could see that against Liverpool. And when those fabulous balls were played into the box, I screamed at my kids, like, Gary Lineker, Michael Owen would be absolutely attacking that space. There was no excuse. And I don't even care what level, even non-league.
Andy Gray, Jackie, there you go.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Absolutely, but you don't even have to be the most technically proficient footballer, surely, to know you have to attack that space. When you've got quality deliveries from the likes of Timber, and they've got quality players all over the field to deliver those balls in, that's what really concerned me more than anything else. But I think the reason his name's coming up so much, yes, the stats are really poor, but it's because they are terrified of blowing it now at this stage, when this is obviously the best chance since the Invincibles.